And welcome back. Joining us for the conversation is the acting president of the National Youth Council, Ms. Dominique Noralez, to talk to us about the recent elections and, of course, what the National Youth Council is doing here in Belize and their plans for 2017. Good morning, Dominique.
Good morning.
Thank you for opening your eyes and coming so early in the morning.
Thank you for having me. I am honored to be here.
Oh, great. So tell us about the National Youth Council.
So the National Youth Council is a representative body of young people throughout the country of Belize. Irrespective of political persuasion, religion, geographic location, of course, it has to be within Belize. Yeah. And so we advocate for youth issues and youth policies and things like that.
Okay, great. And the council has been around for how long?
The council was started in last year.
Okay.
So our first elections, our district elections, happened in February of last year. And this year we're hoping to have elections to replace a couple members of the district council who have resigned or feel that they can no longer serve in the capacity of which they were elected.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the challenges of starting something new.
Yes.
You're very much so new.
It is very, very young.
And I think it's interesting because if we could back up for a little bit, Belize has a high proportion of what we would consider to be youth.
Yes.
So people out there might say, well, why do we need a National Youth Council? Why do we need a National Youth Policy? But really, most Belizeans are youth. Tell us about the age categories that we're talking about and approximately what that population is.
So the youth is defined as a person between 14 to 29 years. In Belize, that's a bit over 60% of our population. So, of course, that's a huge population of young people. Mm-hmm. So a youth council is very necessary to have youth issues be advocated for and have young people have a voice or to echo the voice of young people. That's why a youth council is very important for the country.
And so as we look toward elections, what are your goals with the elections? Who should be involved? How can people be involved?
So the elections happen when you have to be registered with the Department of Youth Services, of course, a registered youth organization. So to do that, you just go into the Department of Youth Services, get a form, fill it out, and you're a member of the registry.
So it could be a small group, two or three people?
Well, the range is between 5 to 10 people that you have to have in the group, and you have to have a running body. So you have to have an executive in place. It's best if you have guidelines and regulations about your youth organization, a constitution, and things like that.
And can you all help organizations that are interested in becoming registered, like help them a little bit, set things up?
Of course, you can come in.
That's mostly the role that the
Department of Youth Services.
So
great.
Department, you go into department and you sign up with. You have the youth governance unit that you could go in, and they will be happy to help you registering.
I think that's great because you want youths to be involved in different social issues that affect them, of course, and affect the wider population. But you want them to be organized. Have a plan. So that's a really great initiative. Initiative, I guess, from the Department of the Youth Services, and to make sure people are organized in their advocacy.
Yes,
that's right.
So you know what your goals are, and you have a set way to achieve those goals.
So with regard to the elections, what are the positions on the council that you're acting president, that you're looking to fill, and what should people know about this?
So we have an executive body. The executive body at this point does not have a president because our president resigned because of professional and personal issues. And so I'm acting president because I was first vice president. So I'm bumped up to president right now. But in the district council elections, we have 6 districts, and we have a couple of people missing from those district councils.
I see, okay.
So in Corozal, we have missing a vice president and a treasurer. In the Belize district, a vice president. In Toledo, a vice president, a secretary, and public relations officer. In Sand Creek, we have a vice president missing and also a secretary. And in Kaya, we just have a secretary missing.
So if people have the registered youth organization, they can have a candidate run. And so we really want people in those areas to think about who they can be encouraging to run.
So if you're from, let's say, the Kaya district, and you're registered with the Department of Youth Services branch there, you go in and get a nomination form. We'll have the nomination form put up on our Facebook page, and also it will be available. We could just email us, and we send it to you. And then we go through the nomination process to ensure that we have young people that are really serious about the National Youth Council and really want to help, because it's a lot of work. People see us and think that we're not doing anything, but really behind the scenes, it's a lot of work, because as Ms. Rock said, it's a lot of behind the scenes and a lot of meetings and a lot of commitment that you have to.
Getting it really well oiled.
Yes.
And it's important, since you are new, to keep that momentum going.
And so to ensure that we get serious on people, what the National Youth Council and the Department of Youth Services is looking at is having a little orientation of our nominees. So if you're nominated, then you're required to come to this orientation where you talk about what the National Youth Council is, what your role will be if elected, and what is required of you. Because, like I said, it's a lot of work, and we need young people who are serious, and we don't want to end up in the same situation we are today, where we have vacant positions and our issues are not being dealt with because we are not stable as a unit.
Unified.
Yes.
I would think that this would be something that if a person has ambitions in life, this would be excellent on your resume.
Yes, it
excellent
will
for
be.
networking.
It will
what
be.
What are the reasons why people should run?
Well, you run because, first of all, you have to want to make a difference.
That's right.
You have to want to be involved in the country. You have to want to be, you have to be able to look at local issues, national issues, regional issues, and international issues. You have to have that drive. I'm not asking you to come with a degree in international policy. We do not need that. But I need you to have a passion to learn, and also to be constructively critical of our council and of the issues in our country.
So qualifications include love of Belize, knowledge of
Yes, knowledge of
wanting
Belize.
to make a difference,
Yes.
commitment to doing something.
Yes.
How long is each term?
The term is 2 years.
2 years,
So
okay.
we're at our second year in our first term of the National Youth Council.
Can I divert just a little bit?
Yes.
Yes.
When you look at let's look a little bit about the work of the National Youth Council.
Yes.
I know that you're still in the phases
we're
of
very, very young.
being a well-oiled machine. That's
Yes.
But
gonna,
we're looking at photos, and I can see that you're busy around the
Yes.
country.
That was
already.
a training that UNDP had for us. It was a 4-week training stretching across themes of policy, of conflict resolution, and things like that.
So what else? What are you
do you
doing?
have in store for the
In
National
store, well, what we're looking at this year, right after elections, we have a work plan in place that the UNDP helped us to put together with our training from Mr. Dylan Williams. What we're looking at is really partnering the government of Belize, and specifically the Department of Youth Services, to have the M&E framework put together for our youth policy. Look at where we are with the National Youth Commission. Look at where we're at with really what progress have we made since the National Youth Policy was released in 2012. Things like that. And also a Youth Development Index for Belizean youth, because we also have the Commonwealth Youth Development Index, but what do we have to look at for Belize, specific to Belize? So those are things we're looking at.
And what does the Youth Development Index measure? What is that?
The Youth Development Index measures things like youth participation, employment and education, access to education and stuff.
I wanted to touch on the policy, the youth policy, because people may not even really be aware of what is in it. What are some of the key goals of the policy?
So the key goals of the policy is, of course, it looks at issues that affect young people, which is, of course, the larger part of our population. So that's education, that's access to education, and we're looking up in education stats in Belize. So congratulations to the government of Belize for doing that. We look at employment. Employment, on the other hand, is an issue for us. We look at health and well-being, because a lot of times when we look at health, we immediately look at sexual and reproductive health, or we just look at general health. And sexual and reproductive health is a great thing to look at, but we also have to look at the well-being, the psychosocial, what's happening in young people's heads and things like that. So mental health is very neglected.
I would think that would be a huge
I want to
one.
put a pin there, because indeed, for real, sexual and reproductive health is a very, very topical issue, especially among our young people. How do you encourage them to look to the National Youth Council or the Department of Youth Services and see that as not being this, they're just going to tell me not to have sex so I don't catch HIV.
No, sexual health is much broader than HIV because there are so many infections that you can get if you have unprotected sex. When I know at the Department of Youth Services, we have our sexual and reproductive health unit. I know within the National Youth Council and the database that the department has, we have the Youth Advocacy Movement, which advocates for sexual and reproductive health issues in Belize. So those are the places we would direct young people to in terms of getting help with sexual and reproductive health, as well as the public sector that the government provides, such as the Cleopatra White and things like that.
Well, I want to find out a little bit more about you, Dominique. There are very few young people that I know who are so passionate about, national issues, especially national issues affecting you. So tell us about your role as acting president and a little bit about why you decided to be a part of this movement.
Well, of course, I had to think long and hard about this because I have a whole bunch of things going on. For me, the passion comes from just really wanting to make a difference and comes from my history of always being helped up to where I am. Because I'm not sitting here because of me or because of who my parents are or who
put you there.
Who put me there. Mm-hmm. I'm here because I was helped up along the way and I want to make a difference.
So you're paying it forward, as they say.
Paying it forward, yes. I always want to be able to pay it forward because I am very grateful for what I've been given. And so this is what my passion is that I'm finding right now. And this is kind of what I want to do for the rest of my life. So
that's wonderful.
This is where my passion is.
I wonder, we hear a lot about negative things related to youth, and there are some serious areas of concern. You mentioned employment. We know about crime and other issues. But what are some things that are cause for optimism in your mind about Belize youth going forward, whether it's something small or big?
When I look at the positive things that are happening with youth, I immediately go to our young men, which sounds like contradicting, but I go to my young men because I see that a lot of them are stepping up. Of course, they still need help to kind of shape out what it is to be a young person, a youth leader. But I look at our young men like Andrew Munnings, I look at Sean Saldana, I look at Micah Gooding, I look at our president, even though he resigned, Mr. Bennett, I look at our president, Mr. Staffin Duncan. Look at young men who want to make a difference, and that's okay that they're not. Some of them are making some mistakes, but that's fine, that's okay. But I look at that as hope for the future.
So that's good, because I think a lot of times the young men get the rap that they're not doing this, they're not doing that. But I agree. I mean, I just met Andrew for the first time this week, even meeting Kamal here, and being involved with a whole range of people at different age groups. I think that's a really good thing to remember and to encourage, support them.
Exactly.
You just support them, don't condemn them.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, most people probably don't know this, but I work with the Department of Youth Services, and we're just opening a center in the Mayflower area. And the new participants, we have about 14, and 10 of them are young men. And my heart just bleeds for them, because I know that in our society we class them in this very, very stereotypical, very unfair kind of category and boxing. And it's really, I'm really glad that you mentioned that when you think about the positive things,
I think about
you think about, because they have so much potential.
Yes, they do.
They have they have the whole world. What's that saying? The world is your oyster. They have it at their fingertips, and we just disallow them from accessing that.
And we can't if we have that many young people in Belize and the gender balance is fairly close. You have to have both supported and uplifted to really
we
grow.
Cannot succeed without both parties. So.
Back to you, Dominique.
Yes.
Are you running for one of these positions?
Actually, in the interpretation of the Constitution, if the office of the president becomes vacant, then the vice president is given that role.
I see.
So I am acting president, but I say that because that is not official that I'm the president as yet.
Okay.
So I'm acting president for now, but I will be put up to president, and the office of the first vice president will be vacant. When it comes to the national council, the executive of the council, the organizations do not vote at that level.
Okay.
Who votes are the 30 young people who are on district councils. So there will be an election for that as well.
And how is that done? Is that online? Is that ballot?
That's ballot.
Okay.
That's by ballot.
Do you all come together?
Yes, we all come together. The person gives their speech and tries to convince and gets votes, and then we vote and we decide, and then we work forward.
And when is that? What's the exact
that
date?
We're looking at March 11th.
Okay.
We're looking at March 11th.
So just to let people know, if they are reminding them, if they are part of a registered youth organization, if they don't know whether their organization is registered, they should check with Department of Youth Services.
Yes. Call me.
Get involved
on Facebook.
Yeah. Let's talk about it. You. National Council of has a Facebook page,
yes,
right? You can find information at Department of Youth Services.
Yes.
And is there any other way that people can find out more, either about the election or your council?
You can call me. You can call the Department of Youth Services. You can email me. My email is out there for the world to see. Noralez@gmail.com.
That's for the older people who did not catch that. That's
Dominique Noralez@gmail.com. You can email me. You can also email our National Youth Council, which is National Youth Council BZ@gmail.com. So there's a lot of ways you can get to us. We're on Twitter. We're not on Instagram, but we're on Facebook, and you can get to us. There's no reason that you can't get to us.
Well, Dominique, thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
I'm very impressed with you, meeting you. Second person from Department of Youth Services we've met this week, had on the show. And good luck as the council grows.
Thank you so much.
And we hope to maybe get an update from you after the elections.
We will.
Okay.
All the best.
All the best.
So
Thank you
much.
for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're continuing with this idea of youth and all the positivity that Belize has when it comes to our youth, and that is with a look ahead at street art. That's coming up in February. It's become a really big event on our calendar, and we look forward to it. So we'll be talking street art after this break. Thanks.